Gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Board of Appeals hearing. Before we begin, let me introduce some members of town government that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Paul Hennings, counsel to the board. To his left is Peter Hans, planner in the planning department. To his left is Tom O'Brien, a planner in the planning department. To his left is John Bongino, town building director. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a board of appeals to act as a relief valve so that those persons agree by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town board can give Board of Appeals additional powers such as special exceptions, approvals, site plan approvals. In Smithtown, the town board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before the board are area variances. Area variances deal with the dimensions such as lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the 5 criteria in area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these 5 areas. They're posted here before you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. Thank you. The statute requires the board to balance the interests of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. This statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance it shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Special exception variances are different than area variances. When you have a special exception application before us, I will explain the different criteria. Regarding procedure, cases will be called in order that they are advertised. When your case is called, please come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts, Mr. O'Brien. Yep. And then you will be sworn in at the podium, and you will be given the opportunity to explain to the board why you need the variance. After the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please organize your thoughts. Keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. Then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review the cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. And number 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. We do have some adjournments, so let me tell you what the adjournments are. Case 16598, John Keene, 16 Beach Hill Drive, Port Salonga. Was there anybody here for that case? That has been adjourned to February 14th. Next case is case 16524, 155 West Main, LLC. This is Arthur Avenue, West Main Street. Was there anyone interested in that case? That has been adjourned to March 27th. Next case is case 16526, Joseph Legabo, 28 Pulaski Road, Kings Park. Anyone here for that case? All right, that has been adjourned to February 28th. And the next one is case 16548, Michael Werheim. It's been 275 River Road. Anyone here for that case? That has been adjourned to February 14th. first case tonight is a special exception. It is a permitted use if they meet all the criteria. If they meet all the criteria, this board has to approve it. However, if they don't meet all the criteria, then they're allowed to ask for a variance. And then they have to follow, we go by the 5 criteria. All right? So the first case tonight is case 16592, Antonia Conti, 18 Bristol Lane, Kings Park. Location: northeast corner of Cliffwood Place and Bristol Lane, Kings Park. Property zone R10. Request special exception to permit temporary living quarters for a family member. To increase the floor area from 600 square feet to 634 square feet. Waive special exception standard that prohibits 2 front doors. Mrs. Conti, come up and present your affidavits. All right? Good. Okay, you can take that mic and we'll bring it down for you.
Okay.
Let me state your name and address, please.
My name is Antonia Conti. I live at 18 Bristol Lane in Kings Park.
All right. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I certainly do.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, I'm here because I'm asking for a special variance. I'd like to be able to convert my garage into living quarters. And instead of it being called a mother-daughter, I'm requesting that it be called a mother-son, because it would be my son who would be living with me. He's 37 years old and has come back home. I have lived in my house for, it'll be 32 years, and 14 of those years I've been living by myself. I originally moved to Kings Park in 1962 when my father retired. I just want to give a little background. 2 minutes. I'm able to talk up to 10 without you getting annoyed, I heard. So when in 1980, we moved 6 houses away from my family's home, and that's where I've been ever since. Now I'm asking for this special exception, as I said, because my son is now going to be living with me. He has MS, and as you know, MS is a very serious, insidious disease, very unpredictable, and at this point, tomorrow, things could change physically for him. And so I'm trying to be prepared for both my aging in place and perhaps his special needs. I'm trying to get organized ahead of time. I don't want to wait until something happens. So that's the reason for asking for that. You'll see in my plans that I have included wheelchair room. So any of the doors will be wheelchair accessible. And the living quarter would be on the first floor, and either he or I can dwell there. I'm also requesting a front door. And I have some logical reasons to have the front door. Number one, aesthetically, it's a split level. And the first door, the front door, presently is on the second floor. And so it would not look it wouldn't look unpleasing to have a door on the first floor, I don't believe. Secondly, as I said, medically, my son should be able to have quick access in and out of the house. I've been told that we could have a wheelchair ramp provided, but that wouldn't work for the second floor because he'd be going up stairs and the bathroom access isn't on those floors. So that wouldn't really work well for us. And then the third reason, putting it on the side, number one, it takes longer access to get there, and number two, it's a brick wall, and also I have a fence there, so it would be pretty cost prohibitive to put it down further on the house. So I am requesting the front door. And I'm just hoping you'll make a just decision for me and my family so we can live here in dignity.
Okay, thank you. Planning?
Madam Chair, as you're aware, it's a special exception use, and it typically requires a planning advisory report. The planning advisory report was not completed in time for tonight's meeting. However, it is completed in draft form back at the office. At this time, basically, the planning advisory report was recommending approval of the special exception use. However, there was advisement against allowing a second front door on the front. Other than that, we had no objection to the special exception use.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen?
The only question I would have is, I noticed on your plan, and I know you had said that it would be somewhat cost prohibitive to move the door around to the side. One of the things that we try to do is to avoid them when we can, so it keeps that residential nature of the neighborhood intact. I do notice that you have a window just adjacent to that corner. Would it be possible to use that window for the door and put a window where the front door is, and it would only be about 3 feet away?
Sir, I don't know where the window is because I'm converting the garage.
If you look on the, according to these plans, there's a window just to the right of the door that you'll be going, the new door.
That's where there will be a little window. Is that what
So
you're
if you're
saying?
going to cut there's no window there now?
No.
If you're going to cut the window in, it would be just as simple to cut a door in that
Well,
location.
it's higher up. The brick is like this high.
So where would the window be then? I'm looking at the plan, and it
Above,
looks
I
like...
believe. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Well, it looks to me like the window would be getting cut into that same brick.
I believe.
It's just an alternative. Whenever there's an alternative, we try to
Yeah,
look at that.
the brick, sir, is high, but not that high. In other words, they plan the window above the brick. Does
Okay,
it show that?
Well, it's showing it cut right into the brick.
Oh. I believe it's just level.
Okay.
But also, too, honestly, I'm asking ahead. I'm planning ahead. I really would like to be able to have that front access on the level floor immediately, right out of the car.
Right.
I think that's important.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Dudley moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16593, Christine Fasano, 288 Haunted Road, Comac. Location, west side of Haunted Road, south of New Highway, Comac. Property zone R43. Request variance to increase the maximum height from 15 feet to 18 feet for an existing 750 square foot detached garage. Yeah, have your name, please.
Alan Fasano.
And,
I live at 288 Haunted Road.
okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Morbillo. I'm an architect. I have a practice, Inspire Design Group, located at 1650 Sycamore Avenue, Bohemia, New York.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
The application before you tonight is for an existing garage, which was permitted back in November of 1990, permit number 79601. And the certificate of compliance had never been issued on the garage. Recently, my client purchased the house this past year, and with the intent of putting an addition on his home. And at that time, he had learned that there was not a certificate of compliance issued on the garage, and had made plans to obtain that. Upon getting an updated survey and getting existing condition measurements, it was determined that the garage is approximately 2.5 feet, was constructed 2.5 feet taller than what was allowed. At that time, we then filed paperwork to legalize it, illustrating the new height. I'd like to proceed with the 5 criteria. The increased height on the garage does not have an adverse effect on the neighborhood. The garage is located in the backyard. It's also, the elevation of the garage is, the ground floor elevation is approximately 2.5 feet above the ground level at the front of the house, so it is set down a little bit down a hill. It's also, again, it's located in the rear yard, close to the side property line. The applicant does not have another means of dealing with this since it's already existing, so there's no other alternative for him. Also, the request is not substantial. It's approximately a 16.7% increase in the allowable height. The request is to 18. It's been rounded up from the actual height of 17.5 feet. The alleged difficulty is self-created because he did purchase the garage and the house, and was created by a previous owner who was a mason and had built it himself, and I guess he either knowingly or unknowingly built it too high or not in conformance. And certainly the garage has been in existence for many years and has not caused an adverse impact on the environment. And if the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
All right. I have a couple of things. You know
Sure.
we visit the sites.
Yes.
Okay. My question is, what is the garage being used for?
Right now, my client has he has some recreation vehicles, as far as jet skis, quads, things like that. So he's using it for those purposes, or basically recreational and storage purposes.
Is he using it for commercial trucks?
He is not. He is not using it for commercial purposes. My client actually has a business nearby in Comac. He's an electrician, and on occasion he does drive his work vehicle home, but he's not using it for commercial purposes.
Okay. And the other thing is the lighting on the garage has to be shielded or turned.
We would certainly agree to any condition to replace the lighting and to have downcast lighting.
Just down, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Planning? Gentlemen?
No, thanks.
No question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, next case is case 16594, Invigian Pharmaceutical, 9 Oster Avenue, Hauppauge, location, southwest corner of Oster Avenue and Old Willets Path, Hauppauge, property zone LI. Request variance to increase the number of ground signs from a maximum of 1 per parcel to 2 per parcel.
Gary J. Bruno, architect, 1225 Locust Avenue, Bohemia, New York.
Do you have power of attorney?
I'm named on the application as the contact.
Pardon me?
I'm named on the application as the contact.
It has to be a officer of the corporation.
Really?
President, vice president, or power of attorney.
I am none of those.
Can't hear the case.
Really? We weren't aware of that.
Is there anyone you can call?
Not at this time, no.
I don't know what to say. I really, I just can't hear it.
Obviously, we were unaware of that. When is the next available date?
Yeah, does it say it on the application? I mean, they're usually told that there has to be an officer of the corporation.
Obviously, I wasn't made aware of that, or we would have figured out how
Okay.
to have someone or deal, or have power of attorney.
All right, I'm going to have to adjourn it.
We understand. Will we need to repost and resend?
You don't have to resend. All you have to do is repost and put, I'll give you the next time, 2/14.
Okay?
All right, just make sure that you have to have a power of attorney.
Oh, we will.
And I know there is
We're not going to do this twice.
a new form, isn't there, Mr. Hennings? I believe there's a new form for a power of attorney, so make sure you have that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Was there anyone here that wanted to be heard on this case? Thank you.
No, it can't, which is when a tree is standing. 2:14.
2:14.
2:14?
We are.
It's your day.
Right, yeah. Maybe we have to have a
Valentine's
meeting
Day
on
will be here forever. Next case is case 16595, John and Gail Georges, 11 Creek Road, Smithtown location, north side of Creek Road, west of Croft Lane, Smithtown property zone R43. Request variance to reduce the front yard setback from 60 feet to 0 for an existing 6-foot fence. Oh,
Taking 3 and giving them.
I'm John George at
Okay.
11 Creek Road.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Take that mic so we can hear you, please. Thank you. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes. Before I was conversant with the rules for putting a side fence, I built a 6-foot fence, and I now realize it should have been a 4-foot fence. The fence of 6 feet versus the allowed 4 feet will not change the character of the neighborhood, nor be a detriment to any nearby properties. I'm in a wooded area by Blydenburg Park. My neighbor, there's one neighbor by the fence. It's a thickly wooded area, and the owner is an absentee owner, and the house is, throughout the time I've been there, has been mostly vacant. The benefit cannot be achieved by any method other than variance, as the fence is already in place. It's there to keep out trespassers who frequently go down the trail parallel to the fence on the absent neighbor's property. The requested variance is not substantial. This variance will not have any effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The difficulty was self-created, as I mentioned. I installed the fence as a safety feature. The property adjacent 15 Creek Road is, for all intents and purposes, abandoned or vacant. There are frequent trespassers on this adjoining property, and many seem threatening and unfamiliar in the neighborhood, and trespassing is a violation of town code. Thank you.
Okay. Let me ask you, we were there the other day, yesterday. Are you keeping that chain link fence?
It's the chain link fence, yes.
Yeah, you're keeping that?
Yes.
Okay. We might put a condition on that you have to keep it as a chain link and not a stockade,
I appreciate it.
all right? I don't know how anyone else is going to vote, but, you know, that may be a condition.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Planning?
No, the only question that came up is,
Yeah.
we had measured, and by the street, it appeared that the fence was 5 feet high rather than 6. Is there points?
Well,
where
I'm a
it's-
bad measurer, obviously.
Okay. Just wanted to make certain that we're not missing something, because
No, you're not missing anything. I It's been a long time since I built it, and my memory is not the best.
Okay.
It is 5 feet, you said?
At the corner it was, where the
Oh, I
4
see.
feet meets the 5-foot fence.
Okay. Am I dismissed?
Yes, you did.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for hearing.
You were dismissed. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second?
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16596, Kevin and Dawn Galvin, 8 Chatham Road, Comac location, south side of Chatham Road, east of Kings Park Road, Comac. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce side yard setback from 3 feet to 0 for an existing retaining wall. Reduce minimum setback of a 5-foot fence to retaining wall from 5 feet to 2 feet existing. Come on up. May I have your name, please?
Kevin Galvin,
Use the mic, thanks. And your address, Kevin?
8 Chatham Road, Comac, New York, 11725.
Good. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You want to tell us why you're here?
We're here to apply for the variance of the setback of fencing around the pool area, and also for a setback of the wall in the side yard on the east side to 0 feet.
You want to tell me a little more?
Yes. I'm looking, I'm sorry.
Okay.
2005, we applied for a building permit, 119601, for a pool. It is also for the fence, but because of the slope of the area, we needed to construct a retaining wall. We were not aware that we needed a permit or a C of O for the retaining wall. We constructed the retaining wall, which was needed because of the slope of the property also, and the fence for the safety for around the pool area. As for the retaining wall to the east side of the property, next to myself and my neighbor and ourselves built that wall because his property was eroding and his fence posts were coming exposed, and he was afraid of losing his property into my property. We shared the cost in it, and we also built it together. The change to the slope that we did, building the retaining walls, is not changing the area in any other way. The benefit that we did achieve from it was the runoff from the rainwater. We did have a record rain before the retaining walls were constructed, in which a neighbor behind us had complained about water running through her backyard. So we took necessary action to correct that from ever happening again. The requested variance that we're asking for is not substantial in any way. The walls have been constructed for a number of years now. Again, it's not an adverse effect to the area that's in there. There are some numerous retaining walls in the area. Some are retaining block and some are railroad ties. And we did not create the difficulty from the slopes that were already there from building in 1966. And I'm available for questions.
Yeah. You know, the only thing is, we visited
Yes.
yesterday, and we saw this shed. Now, is that shed is not on the property line, is it? Or do you have a variance for that shed?
Which one?
There was like a yellow shed
The yellow shed is near the pool.
near the pool, so that's not near the...
That does not have a permit as of yet.
Okay. But that doesn't have, it's not on the property line?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We were just looking at that. Okay. Lenny?
No, I mean, the shed that you're questioning doesn't appear to require any variances.
Yeah, okay.
It just looked very strange from your neighbor to the south's property. You were basically looking underneath a shed that was up on stilts. And just a suggestion, we weren't opposed to it being there, but maybe you could do something to screen it just so it doesn't look like it's up in the air.
Okay.
Couple evergreens at the base, and that way it's kind of hidden and,
Yes,
you know,
we
fair
are.
to the neighbors.
Yeah, we're presently also building, putting some other greenery around the area, and working on that. But yes, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, that'd be at the base of the south side of the shed.
Yes.
And you're keeping the chain link fence, am I correct? There's a chain link fence?
Around the pool, yes,
Right,
ma'am.
Okay, you're not changing that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Gentlemen? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second?
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Next case is case 16597. David O'Connell, 92 Riviera Drive, Kings Park. Location, east side of Riviera Drive, north of St. John Lynn's Road, Kings Park. Property zone R10. Request variance to increase the floor area ratio from 25% to 100% existing. Floor area ratio would be 14% if there were no environmentally sensitive land. Depth to groundwater is less than 10 feet. For proposed 200 square foot addition, permit environmentally sensitive land to be altered, reduce the side yard from 12 feet to 3, and total side yard from 28 feet to 19 existing. Reduce the rear yard from 35 feet to 32 feet, 30 feet existing. Reduce the front yard from 25 feet to 19, 19 feet existing. Reduce the distance from a pool to a dwelling from 10 feet to 8 feet existing. And your name, please.
David O'Connell, O'Connell, 92 Riviera Drive, Kings Park.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is this lady going to speak for you?
This is Diane Martin from Morano Expediting. She's going to speak with me tonight.
Okay, I need to swear her in. I need you to give me your name and your last name and spell your last name for me.
Diane Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N, Morano Expeditors, 4 Hamilton Court, Quorum, New York, 11727.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. I'm here tonight to represent Mr. and Mrs. O'Connell, 92 Riviera Drive, Kings Park. Their proposed 18.5 by 10.8 unheated sunroom addition and maintain the existing above-ground pool. The existing home is currently non-conforming as it doesn't meet any of the required setbacks. It was built prior to the issuance of the COs in 1926. The sunroom will not encroach any further into the side yard or the rear yard and is in line with the rear of the dwelling. The pool has been existing since 1996. We received the Planning Department's recommendations dated 1/20/12 and are aware a drainage plan will be needed to be submitted to the engineering department. The homeowner has that with him this evening. Maybe we submit that?
I guess, all right, and you'll send it over?
I also would like to submit the New York State DEC approval.
Okay. Let me bring this, yes.
Further, we don't feel the variance as it is before you would have a negative impact on the neighboring properties as the sunroom is not going to encroach any further into the rear or side yards. We don't feel that the request is considered substantial, being the sunroom is only 200 square feet and is within a, again, the setbacks are already existing, but the sunroom is within the design of the house. It is in line with it. There is no alternative location for the sunroom without having to come before the board, being that the existing dwelling does not conform. And the drainage plan, in effect, we don't feel it will be propose a negative impact on the environment, as the owner has supplied the drainage, and the LWRP already approved it. Further, we don't feel that the difficulty was self-created, but mainly created when the house was originally constructed. There was an existing deck there with a permit, and that deck is removed, and the sunroom would be within that deck area.
Okay, do you realize there's no action tonight? We cannot take any action because I believe the LWRP has been done but has not been adopted?
That's my understanding.
Okay,
Okay.
by the town board. So I guess once that's adopted, then we will get the recommendation from the environmental department, and then we can make a decision.
Okay.
All right?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Is there anything else you would have?
Planning, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Gentlemen?
Never, no problem.
So I guess that was done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Ready, moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Case 16598, John Keane, has been adjourned to February 14th. Next case is case 16599, Michael and Jacqueline Trotta, 36 Prospect Street, Smithtown. Location, south side of Prospect, west of Elliott Place, Smithtown, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 38 for an existing shed. Reduce the side yard setback from 12 to 3 for a total side yards from 28. Wait a minute. I won't read them more until you tell me. And total side yard from 28 feet to 7, existing pool, shed, and a 4-foot-high deck. Reduced setback from any lot lines from 6 feet to 2. Existing 122 square foot shed and a 206 square foot shed. Increase the maximum paving in side yard from 25% to 45% existing. We okay? Okay. May I have your name, please?
My name is Michael Trotta, 36 Prospect Street, Smithtown, New York, 11787.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Are you going to speak? No. Okay. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, I did some work to the yard over the years of living there for numerous reasons. My house, unfortunately, has no attic or basement, and nor do I have a garage. So I still have things that I need to store, so I had no choice but to go with some sheds. The 2 sheds in the backyard, one is used for my yard tools, another one is used for my suitcases and outdoor decorations and things of that nature. And I also put those sheds in the back. I am backed up to Casa Rustica Restaurant and H2O, and it helped immensely with headlights and even noise by putting those sheds in those areas, so we could kind of survive there without being interfered or bothered by the restaurant business. The shed that's in the front yard was there when I bought the house. but at the time, there was a lot of overgrowth. It was pretty heavily wooded. I decided to take the woods out and clean up the yard. It was just a lot of overgrowth and putting gardens and whatnot. But I built that shed into the landscaping to make it look very nice, and it does. It looks very pretty, looks very park-like. So those are my ideas with the 3 sheds. Also, hugging them in the back, it gave my children enough room to play in the backyard without running into buildings. So it all worked. Everything worked the layout, the way I've done it, it all works. As far as the pool goes, my wife Jacqueline here was not very thrilled having a pool at all, and the only way I was able to convince her to go with a pool was to go with an above ground, relatively small, and it had to be on the side because that's the way the house was even built. The house is built depth on, I don't know how to say it, but length, it's not left to right like normal houses. It was built lengthwise on the property. So the access to my kitchen is on the side of that house. So it all makes sense to put the pool there, that whether the pool is used or not, it could be watched when we're on the deck. So she wanted it that way for safety, to keep an eye on everybody and keep an eye on the pool. Even if we thought nobody was using it, we could still see the pool. It was never in the backyard unattended. And I naturally then built a deck to make ease of getting to the pool and the children on the deck. No one's on the ground. It all worked. At the time when the boys were smaller, we even had the deck gated. They couldn't get to the pool, and they couldn't get off the deck. And then when they got to the age of using the yard, it all worked. As far as the driveway, I had the driveway installed, and at the time, the first installation, I left that section dirt, trying to get grass to grow. But because of the size of the house, it was blocking the sun, and I could get nothing to grow. On a dry summer, during the dry season, any wind would kick up that dust and dirt and end up in the house, and my boys were terribly allergic. I had major problems with these kids with allergies. I had the pavement company come back, break up the Belgian block, move it closer to the fence, and put down tar. And an amazing, just the boys are just totally without this dust. They're just a huge help of getting rid of the dirt. And I had no choice. I even tried gravel at first, and that didn't work. So we tried, and I had them come back and put tar down. I have absolutely no problem with drainage. I have absolutely no problem with my neighbors with anything that I have in the yard. And it all works. Everything just tied in, and it all works. And hopefully I get to keep going like that.
The only concern I have is that shed in the front. I don't know, planning, do you have any recommendations that?
No, we had no issues with the sheds in the rear of the swimming pool or anything like that. Just typically the board has issues with sheds in side yards and front yards, but that's the only comment we had on this.
If I put some tall arborvitaes up, I'll move the shed, but you know what's going to happen? The shed's going to fall. It's going to break, and I'll be throwing it out, I'm sure. So shy of damaging that the boys put their bikes in, so they don't have to go in my sheds, which is a great relief. Their shed is that front shed, so their bikes are, their toys, their equipment, everything is in that shed. That's the only one they're allowed to enter. If I put some shrubs up to block it a little more from the view of the front, I guess, if that would make the board happy, I'll do that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, any questions?
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Next case is case 16600, Dan Barnack, 30 Cardinal Lane, Hopog. Location, south side of Cardinal Lane, east of Eagle Drive, Hopog. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the distance to any lot line from 6 feet to 3 for an existing 95 square foot shed. Reduce the side yard setback from 12 feet to 3 and total side yards from 28 feet to 17 for an existing hot tub. And your name, please?
How you doing? Dan Bynack, 30 Cardinal Lane, Hopog. 11788.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You want to tell us why you're here?
I purchased the house in 2003, okay? And the reason why I'm here, because there was a problem with the deck, it was never closed up on the CO for the railing. They come back to inspect it. There was a couple things wrong, I fixed that. And they seen the shed, which I didn't know about, and the hot tub. So I'm here for that reason, to make everything legal. The shed was there prior when I was bought the house. It's got to be 25 years old at least.
Yeah. You realize it's still your responsibility, though?
Well, I figured the lawyers did that when they bought the house. I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I went back to the lawyer after.
Okay. Planning? Gentlemen?
No question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Bailey moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next case is case 16601, Daniel and Melissa McDougal, 22 Chris Mill Drive, Kings Park. Location, south side of Chris Mill Drive, west of Chris Mill Court, Kings Park. Property zone R10. Request variance to increase maximum paving in front yard from 25% to 35%. Increase the maximum paving in side yard from 25% to 85% existing.
Hi, I'm Melissa McDougal, and I'm from 22 Gristmill Drive, Kings Park, New York, 11754.
Good. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here to request a variance to increase the max paving in the front yard from 25 to 35% and increase the max paving on the side yard from 25 to 85%. We had major flooding in the yard when we just purchased the house, and it was affecting the house and the property. There was major damage to the existing pavers that were creating a hazard. When it would rain, or if you turn the sprinkler on, there was like major floods, like you couldn't even walk outside the house. So we put some pavers down and fixed the pavers. It did not encroach or infringe on any neighboring residential properties, did not impose on any hardship for the neighbors, did not serve to create a situation where any neighbor's quality of life, property value, or peaceful coexistence would be negatively affected. We just added a couple of pavers and to what already existed. No harmful products were used, and there was no adverse effects to the environment. The immediate neighbors complimented the pavers and stated they had no issues with them remaining.
Stockade fence. Look at that.
Could be the neighbors.
Yeah, that stockade fence, is that yours or the neighbors?
Which one? On the, like, dividing our houses?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's our neighbors.
Okay. Planning?
No, I was just amazed by the size of that boulder.
I know. It's pretty big, right?
Gentlemen?
No question. No question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. The next case is case 16602, Dominic Squaza. Now, the location is 5 Crossbow Lane. I'm assuming that this gentleman lives someplace else. Okay. Location, east side of Crossbow Lane, north of Longbow Lane, Comac, property zone R21. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 50 feet to 46 feet for a proposed 600 square foot garage. Want to come up, please?
Hello, my name is Alfonsina Sguera, S-G-U-E-R-A. There's a misspelling there.
Is it SG?
Yes. Sguera. I live in 57 Scholar Lane, Colmac, New York.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
I'm the applicant for a variance on 5 Crossbow Lane. My husband's on a business trip, and my father's going to take it
Sure,
from here.
that's fine. All right, let me have your name and your address, please.
Good evening, board members. My name is Tony Toscano, Toscano. I live at 2050 Crest Road, Syosset, New York 11791.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Would you lift that mic?
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
She
You
was
want to
told.
tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, I'm here tonight. Unfortunately, my son-in-law is called away on business, and the father fills in, as usual.
Yeah.
That's okay. My pleasure. The family is expanding. They have 2 boys, and they are moving to 5 Crossbow. The house at this point does not have a garage, and they're asking the board permission to encroach on front setback by 3 feet and 3 inches, which I do believe it will not cause any change to the neighborhood or to the block, since it's a 1-story ranch, and the house is going to be redone, new brick facade in the front, new landscaping, and the garage is going to be roughly about 23 feet. The average car today being 18, 19 feet. Unfortunately, there's not much room for bikes or any other children toys and so on and so forth. And that is really the reason we're here tonight, just to get, if possible, to have that granted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Planning? Gentlemen,
No, ma'am.
Nothing.
No question.
Thank you very much.
thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Come up, please. You have to come to the microphone. May I have your name, please?
Paul Capozzi,
Spell your last name
C-A-P-O-Z-Z-I,
and your address.
3 Crossbow Lane.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'd just like to see what the plan looks like, since I am the neighbor where the garage is going.
Okay?
And he has asked for the variance to shorten the front. The house is an L-shaped ranch, so the L sticks out forward. If the garage is being put in there, is it bypassing the other side of the L?
I'll let you take a look at this. Oh, the other plan? Where's the other plan that's?
The other plan.
This one. Right. You can go back to the mic and you can look at it. Okay?
It's not encroaching on the side? It's only extending the front?
Yes.
It looks like it was just about 3 feet.
Yep, about
No
3 feet.
no problem whatsoever.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, let me get the piece of paper here. Next case is case 16603, Vincent Gabbia. Okay. And I'm going to do location, all right? The location is 26 Lillian Drive. Okay. Location, west side of Lillian Drive, south of Steuben Boulevard, Wisconsin, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum lot area from 10,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet for an existing 280 square foot second floor addition. 2 porches and a deck existing. Reduce the minimum lot frontage from 75 feet to 40 feet existing. Reduce the minimum lot area from 10,000 square feet to 0 square feet due to environmentally sensitive land, depth to groundwater less than 10 feet. Increase floor area ratio from 25% to 100% existing. Permit environmentally sensitive land to be altered, depth to groundwater less than 10 feet. Permit structure within 10 feet of environmentally sensitive land. Reduce the side yard setback from 12 feet to 1, 4 feet existing. And reduce total side yard from 28 feet to 8, 18 existing. Reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 15, 19 existing. Increase the max paved area in the front yard from 25% to 55% existing. Increase the max paved area in side yard from 25% to 75%. And your name, please.
Vincent Gebbia,
And your address, Vincent.
26 Lillian Drive, Wisconsin, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Sure. Good evening, and thank you for your time. I had purchased this home from the bank, Chase Bank. It was a bank-owned property. I understand it has been vacant for the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm unable to refinance or sell my property as there is no CO for a rear second-story addition. The builder who built this house also had built the house next door, which is 24 Lillian, which is the identical property, had also come in front of this board and received the same C of O and additional permits that I'm asking for as well, and it was granted and approved. There was a permit in 1984 for an addition, which was permit number 27409. The C of O was issued on 12/4/1984 for an addition. We are asking for an approval of this application as it does not have any effect on the neighborhood, as there's only 2 houses on the block, my house and the neighbor who has the identical property. As I said earlier, I had purchased this as an REO property from Chase Bank, and the property was sitting vacant for a few years, which attracted nothing but problems and kids drinking and littering beer bottles all over the place, and it became a hangout. And once we had taken over the property, we had changed the siding and done some work to it, and the neighbor had come over and thanked us because now nobody is spending any time there as well, which is great. On January of 2004, a survey was submitted to this board, and a building permit and C of O was issued for the rear dwelling, 20-foot by 30-foot. The survey states that it was a single-story addition, but it was built prior, and it was built as a 2-story. And when the gentleman, the building inspector, Joe, had come over, he had asked us to install certain type of a stairwell to get to the second story. I think it's noted on your plans there. I think that was his only issue, to make sure that, because the old stairwell was illegal. It was a spiral staircase, and I don't think that that met fire code. So we had changed that, and are looking to change that to bring it to code as well. The neighbor next door is an absentee owner. He rents out the property, the identical property that was the same builder. And he had built that property next door, which was the identical house as well, the second-story addition, the front porch, and the side porch. I don't know if anybody from the board has seen the house, but they are 2 identical properties. So I thank you in advance for your time and appreciation for this.
Okay, thank you. Planning, from my understanding, there are some variances he doesn't need, but they advertise them. Am I correct?
I'm unaware of that.
Okay. From my understanding, the variance to reduce the minimum lot area from 10,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet was already, it predated, was,
That's quite possible.
I might have a letter, I think, for that.
you have a letter for that. There was another one that you didn't need, they advertised it, reduce the minimum lot frontage from 75 feet to 40 existing. I believe, again, that was predated, you don't need that variance. And the other one that I think is reduce the minimum lot area from 10,000 square feet to 0 square feet due to environmentally sensitive land depth to groundwater less than 10 feet. I believe those are the three that are not needed. Am I correct, John?
I think what happens sometimes when an applicant's going for a variance, to be sure there's not a need to come back that we may have missed one, we would include it during the denial process.
That's correct. Everybody was very helpful at the town, and they said, you know what, just go for it all.
Okay.
And I figured, at least you got some fees as well for it. I'm not asking for any of those back, so that
So
would
you
be.
want it done twice,
Yeah, I just
okay.
figure I'd do it all,
Okay, fine. All right.
Would
Anything
you like
else?
that letter?
Pardon me?
Would you like the letter?
I guess we should put it in the, yeah. Do you have a copy of it for yourself? Oh, okay.
This is the.
All right. Perfect, thank you. Okay, anything else, planning? Okay. Gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second?
Ready, move the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Next case is case 1-16350. It's a rehearing, Vincent Sabia, 7 Howard Court, Smithtown location, north side of Howard Court, west of River Heights Drive, Wisconsin. Property zone R21. Request variance to reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 4 for an existing 96 square foot shed. Increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the front yard from 25% to 41%.
Sure. My name is Vincent
Well,
Saban.
you are an attorney, aren't you, Mr.?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Then we don't need the applicant.
There you go.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, planning staff. My name is Frank Tantone. I'm representing the applicant in this matter. The applicant may have been previously represented by another attorney. We'd just like the record to reflect that I've been substituted in as counsel on this matter. This appears to be a relatively simple application. This string of events was really started by the installation of a swimming pool in the backyard. I want to reiterate right up front that the applicant has, from day one, made every attempt to do everything in full compliance as far as we know. And only when that swimming pool application was made did he become aware of the situation within the 50-foot setback in the front. In a nutshell, apparently, during the first hearing, there may have been a miscalculation of the percentage by which the paved area exceeded the town's regulations. So upon writing a letter, we're back now to request a variance for an increase from the code provision of 25% to 41%. When talking about the increase to 41%, there are a couple of unique facets to this particular property. Those of you who have been to it or are familiar with the property will note that it has a fairly substantial slope, and the topography of the property is that it's considerably higher on the one side than it is on the other. The reason that's significant is that the walkways and some retaining walls are calculated into those percentages that I mentioned to the board a little bit earlier. Without those walkways and retaining walls, there would be no access to the front door of this house. So therefore, one could make the argument that if you took out the retaining walls and the walkway, the percentage is knocked down to nearly 38%, which I think the board might find a little bit more palatable. Additionally, the area that we're talking about that exceeds the paved area on the driveway would require the applicant to remove approximately 200 feet of, or probably in the nature of 216 feet of, square feet of asphalt, which is along the right side of the driveway as you're looking at the front of the house. That would create a substantial financial hardship on the applicant. It should be noted for the record that the applicant did not create the hardship. That driveway and that front yard configuration has been in place for well over 12 years and probably more. The applicant's only owned it for about that period of time. The removal of that amount of asphalt would be costly. Going back, I have some pictures of the property, which I can hand up if the board would like. It is a very attractive piece of property. Obviously, if the asphalt were to be removed, the client would then have a substantial cost to re-landscape and make it be in conformity with the rest of the property. So given that hardship and that substantial cost, we'd ask the board to consider the feasibility of this application. Additionally, one other thing that needs to be noted on this particular application is this additional blacktop pavement really doesn't create any kind of danger or threaten any public welfare or safety in the neighborhood. It's in full conformity with the rest of the neighborhood. This particular driveway actually runs up the side of my client's property, and it's almost parallel to the driveway that runs up the neighboring property with a very attractive landscape strip dividing the two of them. Additionally, if you have the surveys in front of you, you'll note that if the asphalt were trimmed off of this particular property up near up as it approaches the house toward the furthest away from the street, it would create a little bit of a dangerous situation because there is a paved area beyond the 50-foot frontage, and to lessen the width of the driveway at that point would bring the cars that were going into this other area that is paved above the 50 feet, would make it very difficult to get around the corner of the house and put a vehicle in that spot. Again, it should be noted for the record that this additional paving, to the best of our knowledge, has never created any kind of flooding problems. All the water on the property seems to be rather self-contained. In light of that, we do not think it threatens the public safety and welfare in any way. Madam Chairwoman, would you like the pictures?
No, that's fine. We have pictures. Thank you so much. Planning? Gentlemen.
No.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, we'll be going to the back of the agenda for the adjourned cases. Case 16582, Mark Riccarati, if I said that, 19 Alder Lane, Comac. Rishardi. Location, north side of Alden Lane and west of Mount Rose Drive, Comac, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 34 for a proposed 150 square foot porch. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 7 and total side yards from 28 feet to 21 for a proposed 700 square foot deck. Increase the max permitted paving in the front yard from 25% to 45% and side yard to 55% existing. And your name?
Mark Rishardi.
And your address, Mark?
19 Arden Lane, Comac, New York, 11725.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. May I have your name, please?
Kevin Daly, 201 Northwest Drive, Farmingdale, New York, 11735.
And raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Okay, good evening. My name is Kevin Daly. I'm from the architect's office. I'm here on behalf of Mark Rashotti, who is right next to me, for the property at 19 Arden Lane, Comac, Section 64, Block 2, Lot 62, in an R10 zone. We're here tonight requesting a variance to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 34 feet for a proposed front porch, the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 7 feet, and total side yards from 28 feet to 21 feet for a proposed deck. In addition, the existing driveway does not conform to the paving requirements. The front yard paving area is approximately 30% instead of the required 25, and the side yard paving area is approximately 55% instead of the required 25. I believe you said 45% when we were called.
I
up.
have increased maximum paved and front yard from 25% to 45%. That's
Okay.
what I have.
Can I just show you the denial that I have, just to
Sure.
make?
Okay, you can go back now. Okay. We certainly don't have to re-advertise because it's less, am I correct? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so if it's 45% on the front yard, then, you know, we would request a variance for the maximum percentage if there's an error somewhere.
Well, no, if you're going to get a denial for 30%, that's what you're going to get approved for 30%.
Okay, I just don't know where the 45% came from.
I
just
don't
wanna
know,
make
might have been
sure.
a typo or something, I don't know.
Existing.
Yep.
Okay. The driveway existed since the Rashadis purchased the home in 2004. It's used simply for off-street parking and, you know, for the kids to play basketball and sidewalk chalk. It's not uncommon for that neighborhood to have widened driveways. As I'm sure the board has driven up and down the block, there are many widened driveways in that area. We feel it's not out of nature or the character of the neighborhood to have the widened driveway. And also, in addition, you know, he did pay the fees to the ZBA to file for these paved surfaces. So, and in addition to the fees paid, any expense to remove the paving would be a financial hardship for Mr. Rashadi. I also have some letters of the abutting neighbors that I'll submit at the end. That they have no objection to the existing driveway. The main reason that we're here tonight is for a proposed second-floor addition with a front porch and a deck. The front porch was designed for curb appeal and a roof overhang for protection from the weather. There are many front porches in the area, and we would agree, if this variance is granted, that the front porch would not be enclosed. As far as the deck, we are proposing to remove an existing deck which was built on the east side of the property, and it was constructed very close to the property line. So in this proposal, as I stated, we're going to remove the deck that exists, and we're going to reconstruct a new deck further back. I believe the reason why the deck was built so close to the property line and in towards the front, for one reason, it's an irregular shaped lot, but that there's a front addition that does have a CO number 20282, which holds an east side setback of 7.7. The kitchen currently exists in the front right corner of the house, and there's a side door that exits right onto that deck that we're proposing to remove. So we're proposing to relocate the kitchen to the back of the house, and in turn, move the door and the deck further back into the rear of the house. So we're proposing a side yard setback at the closest point of 7.02 for the proposed deck. The deck is only going to be about 2 feet high from grade, and as I said, at the closest point. I also would like to submit letters from, consent letters from the neighbors, including the two abutting neighbors, if I could.
Mhm. Thank you.
So we would request that these variances be granted. We feel that there would be no negative impact on any of the neighboring properties in the area. We don't feel that this is a substantial request. As I said, the deck, even though it's a 7-foot requested side yard, it's only for a deck. It would not be enclosed, and it's only 2 foot above grade. And we would request that this variance would be granted.
Thank you. Planning?
No, Madam Chair, we've just been going through the calculations, and it's coming fairly close to the 25%, so I don't know where the 45% that's advertised is coming from. It's almost right at 25% by our calculations, the front yard pavement.
The building department did some calculations, and we come up at 29%.
29%. Okay. So we'll approve it to, I guess, 30% as it is existing, if we're going to approve it. All right. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Vaguely moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16591, James Presler, 50 Old Route 25A, Fort Salonga, location, south side of Old Route 25A, east of Meadowwood Lanes, Fort Salonga, property zone R43. Request variance reduce the side yard setback from 24 feet to 23 feet, reduce the total side yard setbacks from 60 feet to 48 feet, increase the maximum garage floor area from 750 square feet to 886 square feet for additions totaling approximately 2,400 square feet. And your name, please.
James Preisler, at 50 Old Route 25A, Fort Salonga, New York, 11768.
Raise
Good
your right
evening.
hand first.
I'm sorry? Sure, it's James Preisler. Do you need me to spell it as well?
Yeah, it's on there. He's
Okay.
the applicant.
So I'm the homeowner at Old Route
Okay.
25A.
Before you do anything, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and members of the board. We have an application for a building permit to renovate and expand our home at 50 Old Route 25A. We're asking for the board's consideration and favorable decision for a variance as it relates to 2 project items, including in our application and proposed plans. As you can see from the plot plan and the denial from the building department, these 2 items include the proposed construction of a front porch that would wrap around the east side of the existing house for a short distance, and a new proposed attached 2-car garage would be constructed on the west side of the property. The wraparound portion of the proposed porch and the proposed 2-car garage both require this board's consideration for a variance as it relates to the required minimum side yard setback and the required minimum total side yard. With relation to the proposed attached 2-car garage, this would also require variance in terms of an increase in the maximum allowed garage floor area within the principal residential in an R43 zoning district. The variance, we believe, would not produce an impact on adjacent properties or in the neighborhood. Because the proposed additions will be well screened from adjacent properties and homes on the east and west property lines by existing and new screen plantings, which we've already done. From the road, the proposed additions and renovations will be in keeping with the home's architecture and also in keeping with the overall character of the neighborhood. We think that the proposed additions will improve the appearance and curb appeal of our home and will only improve the overall character of the street and neighborhood. Importantly, the proposed garage will also eliminate the need for vehicles to be parked in the home's yard. Parking 1 or more cars in the yard currently is something that is now done out of necessity. The request, we believe, is also not substantial. Part of the application for a variance as it relates to the proposed garage is only requesting a 1-foot reduction of the minimum side yard of 24 feet down to 23 feet. While there would only be one front northwest corner of the proposed garage that would be at issue and encroach into the 24-foot minimum side yard. In terms of the request for an increase in the maximum allowable floor area for garage space in the principal residence, this request for an additional 136 square feet we also do not feel is substantial or excessive, as the requested small increase is considerably less than that of a square footage of a single-car garage. At the same time, the proposed 2-car garage has been designed to a minimum width of only 20 feet rather than the 24-foot width, which is very often the norm for a 2-car garage. This was done in an attempt to better conform to the zoning accordances for garages in terms of the allowable square footage. The minimum design width of 20 feet was also done in order to minimize any possible impact and encroachment onto the minimum side yard. The benefit of this variance cannot be achieved by an alternative because, in terms of the garage, there's no other practical location on the property which allows for the garage to be functional as well as accessible. In order for the proposed garage to be functional and accessible from the existing driveway, the floor of the garage needs to be at the same elevation as the existing garage and 1 step lower than the existing and proposed basement. The proposed location allows for this to happen while not radically changing the existing topography of the property. At the same time, the proposed location would keep the garage at a lower profile as opposed to the garage sitting at a significantly higher profile and elevation as it would have constructed further towards the rear of the property. The variance, we believe, would not cause an adverse impact on the environment because the proposed structures would not be built on any wetlands or environmentally sensitive lands. The proposed structures, in particular, the proposed garage, would conform to the natural and existing grade of the property. There are no trees that will need to be removed in order to construct the proposed garage. Furthermore, an additional rainfall or runoff from the roofs of the garage and other proposed structures will be captured by gutters and handled on-site and will not be allowed to run onto the adjoining properties. There will be 1 or more dry wells installed as necessary in order to accomplish this. And then finally, on a separate note, we want to acknowledge to the board that we're aware of the need to maintain the home's single-family status. We do have plans to do this by creating a minimum 4-foot wide archway between the existing first-floor guest suite and the new family room addition. That's it, and thank you for your time.
Okay. Planning? All right. Gentlemen? Mr. Tanzi, do you have a question?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, very well presented. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moved to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Case 16524, 155 West Main Street, LLC, has been adjourned to March 27th. Case 16526, Joseph Legabo, has been adjourned to February 28th. Case 16548, Michael Wertheim on River Road, has been adjourned to February 14th. That concludes our hearings for tonight. Thank you so much.